Oh, you're going to give him the big introduction.
That's right. That's why they pay me, Mr. Holmes, is I get to make the big introductions. Thank you very much, Councilmember Holmes. We very much appreciate your words. I will now introduce Supervisor Kirk Uhler. Kirk represents the 4th District on the Placer County Board of Supervisors. He was appointed to this position in December of 2006 and was elected without opposition in the June 2008 primary. This is his second opportunity to represent the 4th District. At the age of 25, Kirk became the second youngest person ever to hold the office of County Supervisor when he was elected to the position back in 1992. Kirk has worked both sides of the political fence, not only running for office himself, but also running the campaigns of successful candidates. In addition, he has extensive media experience, having worked as a radio talk show host, a newspaper columnist, and a news reporter. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kirk Uhler.
Good morning. I'm not sure if I lit mine up.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, very quickly, how many of you are running for a race where you think you're going to be spending in excess of $10,000? Anyone? Maybe? Right on. I'm going to talk a little bit about the role of a campaign consultant and what they need to be doing for you, but I'm going to make the assumption that most of you are not going to hire a professional campaign consultant. The reason I'm going to make that assumption is you're probably not going to be spending enough money to justify paying a professional campaign consultant. And these days, most campaign consultants make their money not just by charging you a monthly fee, but then also by charging you for placing advertising, doing things like that. And so what I want to do this morning is spend about 30 seconds talking about if you are going to hire a consultant, what to do, but then make the assumption that you're not going to hire a consultant and act as your consultant and tell you what you need to do. So if you are going to hire a consultant, if you are entertaining the notion of hiring a consultant, you need to interview your consultant. You need to find out what they've done, what kind of races they've been involved in, do they know your area, are they familiar with the issues in the area, are they familiar with the people in the area. Unfortunately, when it comes to running for local office, and I mean this up to Board of Supervisors, where as much of $250,000 will be spent for Board of Supervisors race, far too many consultants use local races as nothing more than helping to keep the lights on. They really don't spend the time on these local races. So you need to find out from the consultant what kind of effort are they putting into your race. How many other folks are they working with at this point? What kind of support staff do they have within their office? In other words, how much of your or of their time are you actually going to have access to? So, operating under the assumption that most of you are not going to hire a professional campaign consultant, let's talk about some of the things that a consultant would otherwise be telling you. First of all, anytime somebody comes to me and says, I'm thinking about running for this office, clerk, recorder, registrar of voters, the very first question that I ask them is, why? Why are you running? And this is where you have to listen very carefully, because the answer to that question will tell you what's this candidate's motivation. Are they running because they have been wronged by somebody and this is payback time? Or are they running because they truly have a passion for this? It's something that they want to devote themselves to. It is the fulfillment of some kind of an avocation, something along those lines, as opposed to just that guy that's there now is a miserable SOB and I'm going to go take him out. Those are not the kinds of candidates I like to work with. I like to work with candidates that have, as we refer to it, a fire in the belly. And so I want to know, when I ask you as the candidate, when I ask you why are you running, I want to know that you can tell me succinctly, here's why I'm running. That will translate into your campaign message. So why are you running? Do you know why you're running, number one? And then number two, I'm making the assessment, do you fit the position? As you're sitting there talking to me, if I'm your consultant and I'm kind of interviewing you, do you fit the position? Because if you can't really convince me the consultant that you fit the position, I'm going to have a tough time convincing the voters that you fit the position. You know, I'm running for Kirk Recorder, Registrar of Voters, and yet I spent my entire life as a CPA. Why aren't you running for auditor controller or clerk, or tax collector or something else? Why aren't you running for a position that fits your strengths? So do you fit the position? And then again, what's your motivation? And then not the last thing, but certainly a very important thing that I'm looking for is, does this person strike me as the kind of person that's willing to do the work that it's going to take to get elected? Because it's a lot of work to get elected. And the worst thing a consultant wants is a candidate who sits there and thinks, why isn't this consultant getting me elected? Why isn't this consultant doing what I need in order for me to get it? Well, what are you doing? Are you out there walking precincts? Are you meeting people? Are you asking from it? Because as a candidate, those are your only two jobs. Meet people, raise money. That's it. That's all you got to do. Meet people, raise money. Are you willing to do the work? So in terms of evaluating that candidate, it comes back to you as the candidate. Anybody ever heard the term SWOT analysis? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You need to do a SWOT analysis on yourself. What are my strengths? What am I good at? How do I then be honest? And this is where Mike alluded to. Get your little, kitchen table committee together, your kitchen cabinet together, and have your friends. And these need to be the friends that can share with you the naked truth. People that have known you a long time, have seen you, yes, at your best, and can tell you these are your strengths. This is when you really shine, but also your weaknesses. You need to know what your weaknesses are. I don't do well in these kinds of environments. I'm not really a dynamic public speaker. I'm better one-on-one. What are your weaknesses? Understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are lead to what are my opportunities. If I know what my strengths are, I am really good at public speaking. I want to see if I can generate as many opportunities to maximize that. I want to get in front of the Kiwanis and the Rotary and the Lions and all these other folks. I want to get out there as much as possible. What are my threats? That comes from understanding what your weaknesses are. I'm not really good at public speaking. I really don't have that much of a resume that fits this particular office. So how do I tailor my message? Both how I deliver my message and what my message is based on those perceived weaknesses that other people see in me. So do that analysis as the candidate. You got to know, because your opposition is going to be doing it to you. Your opposition is going to be doing their own SWOT analysis on you. Likewise, you want to make sure that you're spending a little bit of time knowing who it is you're running against. If you're running against an incumbent, it's a little bit easier. If you're running for an open seat, forget the others. That's my advice to you. You're running for an open seat, and it's people who haven't held the seat. You're the only one in the race. Don't mention anybody else in the race. If anybody says, yeah, I met Jim Johnson at Rotary last week, and isn't he running? I've met Jim, he's a nice guy. Here's why I'm running. That's it. You acknowledge them and you move on. Don't talk about anybody else. If you're running against an incumbent, yes, use the incumbent. You obviously, if you're running against an incumbent, there's a reason why. They've done something you don't like. You want to change things, how things are being done. This gets back to that issue of why are you running? So know the candidate, know the district. Know the district, where is it? What are you running for? What's the job? What's the voting universe? This is going to be very important for determining your budget. How many people are registered to vote in the district? How many people voted last time for the position for which I'm running? How many votes will I need to get in order to be elected? That's my voting universe. Now, once I've identified my voting universe, then I figure out what tools am I going to use to reach those people.